Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to our webinar. Take a minute or two to get settled, get logged in. We'll give folks a minute or two before we get started. Thank you all. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. We're going to give folks just another 30 or 60 seconds to make sure everyone has a chance to get logged in, and then we'll get started. Thank you for being here on time. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and kick things off. Hello, everybody. Welcome to our third and final family information session for National Math Stars this year. Just before we get started with the content, I want to make sure that all of you know how to use this Zoom webinar. So throughout this time, we will be sharing more about our program, but we also encourage you to ask questions. So at the very bottom of your screen, you will see a toolbar, and one of the options will be Q&A. If you click on that button, you can type any questions that you have to our team, and we will get you an answer either in writing or we'll be able to answer it live on today's webinar. Thank you to one person I see who has already asked a question in the chat, and I encourage all of you to ask as many questions as come to mind during this time. So let's talk about how we're going to spend this hour. We're going to break it up into three sections. First, we're going to talk more about an overview of what National Math Stars is and how our program's designed. In part two, we'll focus more specifically on the admissions and selection process that you are all participating in right now. And with any time left over at the end, we will have an open Q&A time for you to ask and get answers to any questions you might have. Let me also say that if you have attended either of our prior two family information sessions, that this one will cover the same content. So if you have already attended a prior session, there's no need to attend this session unless you have additional questions. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. And I want to kick off just with an introduction. So I'll start with myself. Hello, everybody. I'm Alex Lockoff. I am the head of partnerships here at National Math Stars. And so I oversee our outreach and partnerships with schools and school districts, as well as lead our admissions and selection process. Also want to give you all a chance to meet Keith. So Keith, I'll pass it over to you.
All right. Yeah, wonderful being on the call here with everyone. My name's Keith. I lead the partnerships just around Texas. So my job is really to make sure that the schools know about the really gifted students and make sure they nominate for the program. I'm a former teacher and administrator, school principal in the Austin, Texas area before I came to National Math Stars. And now I've been here, like I said, supporting the Texas partnerships, and happy to be on the call and answer these questions for y'all.
All right. We are also may have Troy jump on a little bit later. He is managing our partnerships across the Midwest. And so if you are in any of the Midwestern states we're working in, Troy is part of the reason that your student was nominated and now in the application process. So let's start by talking about our program. The mission of National Math Stars is to ensure that mathematically extraordinary students coming from all communities have the resources they need to reach the frontiers of math and science. At National Math Stars, we want to find the most exceptional young students and make sure that we accelerate and grow their talents and help them pursue their passions. Now, we do this through our National Math Stars support program. This is a totally free program that starts working with students when they're in second or third grade. Over the 10 years that remain in their K-12 journey, we support those students with scholarships and resources worth over $100,000 to help develop their talent and pursue their interests. And one of my favorite pictures, this is not some hypothetical idea. This is a real program, and you can see it here in the faces of our 61 National Math Stars from 2024. In 2024, our National Math Stars came exclusively from Texas. And based on our success there, we are really excited to be expanding that program up into the Midwestern states for this year. Now, as a program, there are three things that set National Math Stars apart from other programs you may have heard of. First, we start working with students when they're very young. I know many of you parents on the call probably didn't think these types of opportunities existed until the high school or maybe the middle school level, but we believe in starting early so we have more time to work with students and we catch them before existing access to opportunity has skewed their abilities or interests. Secondly, we are a very selective program. I know there are many of you here on today's call and many more who've applied for our program, and we unfortunately cannot accept every student who applies. We are really looking for students who show 1 in 1,000 levels of interest and talent in science or math, and families where we can make a real difference in what that child is or isn't able to access to pursue their interests. Now, the reason we are so selective and the reason we make these painful decisions is it allows us to accomplish the third bullet point on your screen. We invest heavily. So if your child is one of the 2025 National Math Stars, they will get access to $15,000 or more each year to help unlock all parts of the STEM enrichment ecosystem. As an organization, we are committed to taking big bets on some of the most extraordinary students from across the country. We're not just trying to do a little bit here, a little bit there. We want to take these big bets on extraordinary kids. Here's another way you can think about our program. Traditionally, when you think about math or science education, you think about these blue boxes. A student does well in elementary school, they go on and do well in middle school, they take some hard courses in high school, do well, and go on to college where they do well and hopefully get a good job thereafter. But the reality is, reaching the frontiers or really pushing at the boundaries of math and science requires more than just doing well in your school's math class. The most successful students are pushing themselves with more advanced coursework. They're engaging with a personal math mentor or tutor. They're learning related skills like computer programming. They're joining clubs. It could be a robotics club, a math club, many options to interact with peers who share their interests. As students get older, they start to compete in science fairs or math competitions like the AMC 8. And as students get into high school and beyond, they're starting to participate in real research and real internship opportunities, gaining exposure to professionals who are already at the frontiers of math and science. What National Math Stars is an organization dedicated to unlocking these yellow bars for all students. We do not change what happens during the school day for your child, but we hope to ensure that they get access to all of the enrichment opportunities and resources in yellow, as well as more, to help develop their interests and pursue their talents. More specifically, we break our supports into 4 categories, and I'm going to run through these real fast. It's math development, financial support, supportive community, and family advising. Let's tackle those one at a time. Math development is probably the biggest chunk. Every student in our program gets access to free math coaching or math tutoring. This is virtual, so it's completed at home. Once a week for about an hour, your student will work with a trained math mentor. You can see here a screenshot of Tavish working with Dr. Maria. Dr. Maria has a PhD in mathematics, and here she is helping Tavish do shapes analysis of one of his favorite items, a fighter jet. Now, I like this photo for a particular reason. It's that these sessions are not structured like a traditional classroom where we have a set curriculum or pacing guide. We encourage every student in our program to bring their interests to these sessions, and our trained mentors incorporate students' interests into the math they're doing so that students feel motivated and excited. The second thing we provide to every star is access to advanced coursework. Just the fact that your child is participating in this process means they are most likely ready for more challenge than they are currently getting at school. That's why we believe in helping every student access advanced coursework outside of the school day. We often partner with Art of Problem Solving, who have a range of amazing online courses for students to take. but we've also helped students access programs through the Russian School of Math, Geode Math, Art of Physics, Johns Hopkins Center for Talented Youth, and more. And the last piece, and one of my favorites, is summer camps. This is a tremendous opportunity for students during the summer to get to meet other peers who share their love of math and to engage in fun math in a fun environment. I've picked just 3 camps here: Epsilon Camp, Math in the Mountains, and Johns Hopkins Center for Talented Youth camps. These are larger sleepaway camps, but in the program, we would partner with you as a family to decide what camp is right for your child, be it a local day camp or a multi-week sleepaway camp, and we will cover all of the financial cost to make sure they can attend each and every year they are in the program. So that's it for math development, but that's not it. The next chunk is financial support. And look, we understand that today, basically everything seems to be really expensive, and that for many of you, this is a challenge to getting your child the enrichment and resources that you'd like to. That's why we offer every family $3,000 per year that they can use to offset the cost of STEM enrichment materials. We have Xavier here putting together a 3D printer that he purchased so he can take his brilliant ideas and turn them into real things in the real world. We have folks who've used these funds to cover Rubik's Cube competition fees, to get robotics kits delivered monthly so they can work on their building skills, to cover supplemental extra STEM summer camps. These are flexible. These are designed to make sure money doesn't prevent your child from getting the resources and enrichment they crave. The third bucket of support we provide is supportive community. We do this by bringing students together both in person and virtually. And here on the screen, I'm highlighting our flagship event. Every year, newly accepted students and their families are invited to a welcome weekend. We will cover the cost for all students and their families to come meet each other in person and have a weekend of becoming friends, doing math together, and as you can see from these photos, just having a great time getting to know each other. This is one of our favorite events. It is so fun to see this amazing group of young people we accept get to know each other and have a great time with math. And the last piece of our program is family advising. We know that your children are between the ages of 7 to 10 or so right now, and that means supporting them is also about supporting you as parents. That's why we have family advisors who each have a small caseload of just 30 or so families that they work with. That small number means your family advisor has dedicated time each and every day and week to help you. So whether that's coming up with an individualized education plan, whether that's helping you figure out how to advocate within your school district, find local summer camp opportunities, or just serve as a go-to resource in those moments when you are unsure, our family advisors, parents, they are here for you to make sure you have all of the support you need as you navigate this journey with your child. And so that is an overview about how we think about supporting extraordinary young mathematicians. Thank you, Troy and Keith, for answering many questions in the chat, but I'm going to tackle just a few of the ones that I see here. And I'm going to start by looking for any that are not immediately about the testing period, but I think that's what all of our questions so far are about. So I'll just put out a call here. I'll give you all about 30 seconds. If anyone has questions about our program or program design, please type those into the Q&A box at the bottom of your screen. Otherwise, we'll flip gears and start talking admissions and selections. I'll give you about 30 to 60 seconds. All right, we've got some great questions coming in. Let me highlight this first one. Do we get similar support for 12 to 15-year-olds? So currently, National Math Stars only recruit students when they are in 2nd or 3rd grade, ages 7 to 9. However, we would work with your child all the way through when they're about 17 or so years old. And we do anticipate our program will change slightly as students grow up and they need slightly different supports. But that core mission of making sure extraordinary kids get access to everything they need, that's going to maintain consistent throughout the entire program. This is just a logistical one. Let me tag on. If you joined this presentation a few minutes late, do not stress. This entire session has been recorded and will be uploaded to YouTube by tomorrow, so you can view the entire thing again if need be. We have another parent asking what the expected time commitment if their child gets into the program is. So we tell families that they should expect between 4 to 7 hours per week of National Math Stars programming. This includes that hour-long math mentoring session they get each week virtually, as well as 2 to 3 hours per week for their advanced online coursework, and then some extra time for homework, for any independent projects they're working on, maybe some 3D printing, etc. I have a question. Are there any requirements for kids to be at an event without parents? We generally encourage parents to attend as much or as little of the program as they'd like to. Most of our supports are virtual. And so as a parent, you will be required to make sure your child remembers they have programming to do, can get successfully logged in to whatever that programming is. And you're welcome to be with them throughout that process, but you're not required to. Once they get started with a Zoom class or a tutoring session, you don't have to sit next to them the entire time. And this fits well with the next question. Do parents attend the summer camp with their kids? So for in-person activities, whether parents attend or not, depend on the exact camp and the exact circumstance. We have some camps that require parents to attend and some where they don't. If parents are required to attend, we will work with you to make sure cost is not a barrier, and that's something we can support with as well. Just taking a quick scan through the questions. Here's a great one. I will answer this one and then move forward into admissions and selection. But this question, is this a good segue for lifelong friends and colleagues? And from the bottom of our heart, our answer is that yes, we hope so for every student in our program. In fact, research shows that the people in their life that your children feel closest to will go on to have an outsized impact in who they grow up to become. We recruit cohorts of students at a time with the hope that extraordinary young people from across the states we work in and across the country can become friends, can become lifelong colleagues, and that by being a part of this extraordinary community, every student has the opportunity to be surrounded, encouraged, and challenged by extraordinary peers like themselves. And so with that, let me flip gears, keep asking questions, but in the next section, I want to talk specifically about admissions and selection. And I know this is what many of you are curious about, given that I just sent out the test access information yesterday. So first, let's recap what we're doing over the summer. What is selection? So this year we had just over 6,000 students apply for National Math Stars. And we're going to narrow this down to 100 or so students we're able to accept this year. Before we get there, we're going to pick 400 or so students that become finalists. And so if you're running the numbers in your head, you can see that this is a quite competitive process. Only about 6.5% of applicants will become finalists, and only 25% of finalists will ultimately get selected. This puts our overall acceptance rate at 1.6% this year. And I bring this up not to scare you, but to really drive home the point that you see in this gray bubble. Please take time to celebrate your child, no matter how well or how poorly this process goes. The very fact that they were nominated by their school or district to participate means your child is extraordinary, and they show extraordinary promise as a young mathematician and scientist. Whether they become a finalist, whether they're a star, or whether they don't make it past this initial application, please celebrate your child, make sure they feel seen and recognized, and we hope that this could be a positive experience for all of you and for all of your children. We are committed as an organization to celebrating math excellence, but we cannot do it without your help. So take time to really be intentional and recognize your child for how amazing they are. Now let's talk logistics though. So yesterday, June 16th, you should have all received an email from me with instructions for accessing our National Math Stars admissions exam. If you did not receive that email, you need to email us. Our email is admissions@nationalmathstars.org, and I will put that in the chat in case anyone needs it right now. If you did receive that email, you have until June 30th at midnight to make sure that your child completes and submits this assessment. We will then take a week to process the results and we'll announce our 400 finalists on July 7th. Over the remainder of July, we will get to know those finalists, which sets us up for August 15th, announcing our class of 2025 National Math Stars. Now, I see there have been many questions in the chat about the admissions exam, so let me cover, hopefully, some of them here. As I said, the email with instructions for that test went out yesterday. I encourage you to read them all carefully. This test includes 30 questions. Those are split across 5 different types of problems, where there are 6 questions per problem type. And I've made sure to include a few practice problems of each problem type so that your child has a chance to see how it works before they get into the real problems. There's no time limit on this test, so take as much or as little time as you need, and take as many breaks as you need in between. At any point, you can exit out of the test browser and your progress will still be saved. You can then re-log in and pick up right where you left off. So if you would prefer to complete this in 4 30-minute chunks, that is absolutely fine with us. Just make sure you click submit before June 30th. All of you received an email with access to the English version of the test. However, we're happy to also offer this test natively in Spanish. If your child would prefer the Spanish version of the test, please send us an email letting us know, and we'll get you that new login info for that. Not a problem. I know some folks are worried about what can we do to prepare our child in the few days before they get started. And our recommendation is nothing. Just encourage your child to have fun and try their best with this process. Remember that they're doing this because they are already extraordinary, and we hope they have an enjoyable time trying out some fun, challenging problems. Don't pressure your child if they're not having fun on the test. In general, whether or not your child enjoys this test is a good indication of whether or not they'll enjoy the type of programming they would do in National Math Stars. So if they are not having fun, if they want to stop, we encourage you to listen to your child and not to pressure them. And lastly, please talk to your child about the fact that this test is going to be hard. Last year, the average score was a 53%. And of those who have submitted already, we've had a few early submissions. The average so far is only a 49%. So this is a really hard test. This is not a test like they take in school, where your children are likely used to getting 90s or 100%. This is going to be really hard. Almost nobody will receive a perfect score. And your child should absolutely expect to see problems they have no idea how to solve. That's okay. That's what it's meant to do. And just reassure them that that's normal. This admissions exam will help us narrow down the 400 families that we ultimately accept as finalists. Those will be announced on July 7th. So whether you submit your test today or June 30th, we cannot respond immediately. We are a small team that you see here on this call, and we are processing several thousand students through this application cycle. So please be patient with us and know that we will communicate to every single one of you, whether or not you have been selected as a finalist on July 7th. If you are selected as a finalist, there will be some additional steps for you and your child to complete in the month of July. We interview the parents or guardians of every finalist in our program. That will be one of our staff members talking with just you parents, not your child, just you as parents or guardians on a Zoom call. We will also have an interview for your child where they will have a call with one of our math mentors over Zoom and work on some problems and games together to understand more about how they think and reason. We will have an additional test for finalists, and we will have a form of income verification. All this comes together to help us select the students we accept. When we make these decisions, we consider these 3 criteria on the right-hand side of the screen. First, we're looking for math talent. As I said before, we're looking for students who bring 1 in 1,000 levels of math ability. The second thing we're looking for is evidence of significant unmet need. Now, need is a tricky word. We understand every family is unique and need can exist in many different ways. For some of you, financial need may be your biggest challenge and you struggle to afford the resources you'd like. That's a form of need. For others of you, it may be your location. Perhaps you live in a rural community where it's hard to access good enrichment opportunities nearby. We understand that type of need as well. We also understand parents' education status, school quality. Many factors go into each of your family realities. And that's why we try to create a holistic process and answer this question of need in a holistic way. The third factor we consider is program interest and commitment. Look, 10 years is a long time. We're looking for folks who are ready to commit and excited about the prospect of working together for 10 years. We know students will change as they grow up and their interests may shift. If at any point that happens, it's not a problem, but we are looking for folks who genuinely love doing math and are excited to add 7 hours per week of math time into their life. So all that will come together and we will select our 100 stars. You can see them here at the bottom. I also wanted to mention at this point, we will be piloting a new version of the National Math Stars program later this year. This new version will be lighter touch and allowing us to serve a larger number of students. So by participating in this process, please know that you are in the running not only for our core 100 National Math Star spots, but you will also be in consideration for this pilot of a newer program that we'll share more details about as we get it developed and off the ground. And so that brings me to the end of this section on admissions and selection. I see there are many questions in the chat. So for the remainder of this time, this is an open question and answer opportunity. If you have questions, click that Q&A button on the bottom of your screen and type them in. If you've had all of your questions answered, thank you for being here and you're welcome to hop off when you'd like. But otherwise, I will spend the rest of this time getting through as many of these questions as we can. Let's dive in. First question, are kids allowed to use a calculator during the online test? The answer to this is yes. They can use a physical calculator or there is a calculator built into the testing site. If you are giving kids access to your phone as a calculator, please be sure they do not use your phone in other ways to try and cheat on the exam. We are very rigorous about that. Next question asks, do kids need to turn on a camera while testing? For this initial exam, no. Your child, we want to keep it easy. Just log in, complete the test. If you're selected as a finalist, our second stage testing will require a camera, but we can cover that later on. Don't worry about it for now. Yeah, I've seen this question pop up a few times, and you actually will have seen this in the initial email to me. Let me flag the few places that this question has come up. There are a few questions that I said you will see show up as skipped when you're reviewing, getting ready to click submit. Questions 1, 2, 3, 10, 11, 18, 19, 26, 27, and 34. The reason for that is those pages are instructions. There is no question on them. There is no spot to put in an answer, and therefore they will just appear as blank. That's totally fine. All of the other questions are real questions and should be answered. but those ones know that there's no way to answer them. I will also mention some families have been letting me know that when they get ready to click submit, all of the questions appear gray and say skipped. This is after submitting. That's just because we haven't released our test scores yet. So please do not panic. Know that if you've answered the questions and clicked submit, we have your answers. And I will be following up on the Monday of this upcoming week and the week after, confirming receipt of each exam. I'm not able to provide individualized confirmation of test submissions. There is only one of me and many thousands of you, so I hope you understand. Next question. Although my child is high in math, he has accommodations in reading. Will those be applied to the second round of testing? Yes. We are committed to honoring all accommodations that students need as outlined in a 504 or IEP plan through their school. So if your child has a 504 or IEP plan through their school, we'll make sure to honor those accommodations for them at all stages of our selection process. And this is a related question, but asking if, as a struggling reader, whether questions can be read aloud. Yes, all of your tests have enabled text-to-speech. And if your child watches the video that I put together on the first page of the test, it will show them where to click to activate that feature, so they can have all of the questions read aloud if they need that. This parent asks whether sitting next to their kid while they're taking the test is fine or whether that would be disqualification for cheating. You're welcome to sit there, but my recommendation would not be. Our experience is that this creates more stress for your child and also creates kind of a incentive where your facial expressions can create unintended impacts on their answer choice. We recommend that you help your child log into the test and then you allow them to complete the test on their own. Any evidence of parental involvement or parental support on the test will result in immediate disqualification. Next question asks, how many questions does a student need to pass in order to be selected? I wish I could give you a clean number. The reality is it's not that simple. As I said, there are really three criteria we consider when looking at applicants. We're looking for math talent. And so the more questions you get right, the more evidence of math talent there is. But we're also considering factors such as need, interest, and commitment. And so that means that no single score guarantees you admission, and that we will be assessing all candidates in a holistic way. This question asks, can I clarify how the questions are distributed across topics? For example, how many come from areas like algebra, probability, or other subjects on Brilliant, or are questions focused on certain topics? Our questions do not all come from Brilliant. Brilliant is just a great STEM learning platform that we were happy to be able to share with all of you. The questions are ones that we have created on our own. In terms of topics, these are not traditional math questions like you may see in school. Almost all of the questions on our test are puzzles or reasoning challenges. They do not require advanced math and are accessible to students of all math content levels. Another question about the test, can you look back at your answer? Yes, at any point you can move between any question on the test. So all the way up until you click submit, you can go back and look at answers or change answers to any prior questions. Absolutely. Next up is a question asking family income. How much does it factor into acceptance into the program? I can't give an exact number. It's absolutely something we look at and think about. But last year, we had families accepted across all of our income ranges, from the very lowest to the very highest. And that's because, as I said, we understand need is a composite, and no single factor is sufficient to truly understand need. You can have a higher income, but still have very real need. in the same way that you can have a lower income, and also have higher needs. So we look at this holistically, and no income level is an immediate disqualification for us. And that touches perfectly on the next question, asking about how we select 400 finalists. So at every stage of our selection process, we're considering all of the information that we have about these three dimensions. So looking at tests, we look at the score on admissions exam. We consider submitted test scores. We consider all of the responses that you put into all of the questions in the application. All of that is considered during our selection process for finalists, as well as the additional information we get for our star selection. This question asks, will we get to see our child's result on the test or just know whether or not they're a finalist? We'll make sure to share your child's score with you. We cannot release the individual test items with the goal of not compromising our test security, but we will make sure all of you know your child's score in addition to their status. To select finalists, is there a cutoff score for how well kids do on the initial assessment? Not one that we have set right now. We're going to look at all of the results as they come in, and we're going to select the 400 students that we feel, based on performance and evidence of math talent, need, interest, and commitment, are the best fits to move forward. I will say with 6,000 applicants, this is going to be very competitive. And so below a very high score, it's going to be very unlikely that your child moves forward. And unfortunately, that's just the reality. We have many applicants for very few spots. Can we help with practice questions after login to the site is the next question. And the answer is no. Once your child has started the exam, you cannot help them with any piece of it, any evidence that you're supporting your child. And we remember we interview all families and children as part of our finalist process. Any evidence that parents are supporting their child is not allowed and will result in disqualification. This asks about a child with dyslexia and oral administration of word problems. Yes, we will have that text-to-speech and immersive reader functionality. So hopefully this accommodates all of your child's needs. If not, please reach out to us over email, and we're happy to accommodate any needs that you have in a 504 or IEP plan. This question asks if the test questions are similar to the Brilliant.org site that we gave us. They're both STEM related. That's about as far as I'm going to answer that one. This question asks, how high of a math level are the questions? This is a really good question. We designed to pick hard questions, very hard questions that do not require advanced math content knowledge. So for example, a question that asks about taking the derivative of a function, that's something that students will just not have been exposed to. So we're not going to ask questions like that. What we're focusing on are puzzles and reasoning challenges that look at how students reason and tackle hard problems. We don't care how much math they have learned in school already. That's not important to us. I've answered this one. You will get your child's test score, as well as whether or not they were selected. This question asks, are there more families accepted with lower income than higher income? I would say that's correct. I don't have the exact numbers, but I think about 75%, don't quote me on that number, of families from our last year's cohort came from families earning less than $100,000 a year. As I said, we had applicants accepted all the way up through all income ranges, but please know that we receive many, many applications from higher income families, and so it is a very selective process. This question asks, how do we differentiate interest and commitment? We do this through all sources of evidence across interviews, applications, and everything that we do in our selection process. Ultimately, these are two buckets. Interest is how excited and the student as well as the family is for the opportunity. Commitment is how well this fits in your schedule. 4 to 7 hours a week is a real commitment level, and families that are oversubscribed or have many extracurriculars going on may find that this is a hard commitment to meet. And so it's really kind of split in that way. How excited versus how will this actually fit into your life is the way we think about that separation of interest versus commitment. This question says, if we move forward with our lighter touch pilot program, do we have a goal for number of students or timeline for admittance? Yes, but let me put an asterisk here that this is all subject to change as we build out this pilot program. We're looking to accept around 250 students into this pilot program for the current year. And I don't have an exact timeline, but our hope is that in the coming months, we can have this ready to launch. And if you are identified as a good fit for this program, we will proactively reach out to you to make sure that you know that and you have all the information you need. And I am on, oh, there's another question I was going to say. I'm on my last question, and we've still got plenty of time. So if you have more, just click that Q&A button at the bottom of your screen. Happy to answer them as they come in. Question right now, I mentioned practice questions. Is that part of the test or found elsewhere? Those are part of the test. So no need for you to do anything beforehand. Just get your student logged in. And as they click through the pages, they will find a few pages of practice questions before every problem type. And that actually fits perfectly well. We have another question came in asking if there is a mock exam. No mock exam, but that is what those practice questions are built for. We want to make sure we understand students' math ability levels, not their ability to navigate a website. And so we hope the practice questions enable that. Okay, we've got some more questions coming in. Are we selecting a specific number of students per state? No, we don't have a formal quota that we want per state. However, we do hope to see robust representation across the 7 states that we're currently serving. This question says, how about the AMC 8, which for those of you who've not heard about it, is the American Mathematical Competition for students in 8th grade or below? If a student wants to challenge that, what help can you provide? We work with many students who enjoy math competitions, and we know for some students that's a really fun part of math, and for others it isn't. If your child loves to enter math contests and they are accepted as a national math star, we would absolutely support their work there. And we are really happy to actually have one student who's been in our program for 2 years that almost achieved a perfect score on this past year's competition. So we have strong results there and are eager for that to continue. This full session has been recorded. We will make sure anyone can view it at any point. You can visit our YouTube channel by Googling or searching in YouTube National Math Stars, and you'll be able to find our YouTube channel where this recording will be posted probably by tomorrow, as well as the recordings of our 2 previous information sessions that covered the exact same content. So you can watch any of the 3 of them. They're all the exact same. We have a question. So on those practice questions on the test, how will the student see the correct answer to understand how it works? I have put those in. So the students will see a question and then they'll scroll down on the page and there will be the correct answer as well as video and text explanation to help students understand why that answer was correct. And we include several examples for students to see. This asks whether questions are write-in or multiple choice. We have a mix of all question types, including multiple choice, drag and drop, open-ended. So it's a range depending on the problem type. And at the moment, I am not seeing any more questions pop up. So let me take this moment to thank you all for joining us here today. If you do have additional questions, don't hesitate to reach out to us. Our email is admissions nationalmathstars.org. We wish you all and your children the best of luck on the admissions exam. Please remember to celebrate your child and all that they have already accomplished. We hope they have fun with the process. We hope they enjoy the challenge. And we're very excited to see the results come in over the next 2 weeks before that June 30th deadline. I'll be sticking around here, so if you have any last questions, feel free to ask. But from Troy, from Keith, from myself, and all of us here at the National Math Stars team, thank you for being part of this mission, and we're so excited for you and your children. Have a great night, everyone.
Alex, you're on mute.
We have one last question came in about open-ended questions. We do have a couple where students will type their answers into a box, so they just have to type a number in as opposed to picking a number. That's all. Thank you, everybody. Have a great night.